Miles Turner, your playoff leader in blocks, going to take the floor for the Indiana Pacers. Here's a quick history lesson. The last time the Pacers were in the NBA Finals, Shaq, you remember this, your first Finals MVP.
I got 3 words. Barbecue chicken alert.
Oh.
Barbecue chicken alert.
2012, the Thunder had 3 future league MVPs in James Harden, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. They lost to LeBron James and the Heatles 4-1 in those finals.
Man.
When we look at this team for the Indiana Pacers, they do have championship experience, and that comes in the form of Pascal Siakam. Remember in 2019, his first game in the NBA Finals? Yeah, 32 points, 14 for 17 from the field, Z. And that was a game in which Kawhi Leonard struggled a bit. Really leaned on him. He's somebody we should keep an eye out on.
Most definitely. And not only that, I remember him in a closeout game in Golden State when he was the go-to guy at the end of the game for the Raptors. He's the one who closed Golden State out. His inside play, his mid-range play, and now he's improved his game to the three-point line. He is a difficult matchup. And if you're not double teaming him, he's going to get a shot off. He's not only is he going to get a shot off, but he'll get to the foul line also.
You know, Shaq, he's your Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He's the guy, we all talk about Tyrese Halliburton, but since they traded for Pascal Siakam, 2 trips in a row to the Eastern Conference Finals, and now a trip to the NBA.
You know, if you look at these stats right here, it tells me one thing. He's a nice guy, but when he gets upset, he can turn it on. That's what I like about his game. But however, in the finals, I would like him to play upset the whole time. This is a time you do not wait. You go out, you take high percentage shots, and you do your thing. Yes, the team is focused around Tyrese and all those guys, but if they're not going, you have to go. A lot of people have gotten knocked out since the beginning of NBA basketball with the 1-2 punch. Him and Tyrese are the 1-2 punch. And Tyrese is, being played roughly by Lou Dort, he has to step up and take over. Those 17 points will not get it done.
Kenny, when I hear that, I think, okay, Pascal Siakam, for Tyrese Halliburton, is his mindset early in this one, I get him going so we have him playing at the top of his game?
No, because it's not up to Tyrese Halliburton. And this is where Shaq is saying he has to take that next step of demanding that it goes through him because he is the most explosive scorer that they had. When we did the Eastern Conference Finals, Charles made a comment. It's like, man, they don't even run a play for this guy, and he's able to get 20. I'm going into if I'm Pascal Siakam, no, we're running the offense and anything in half court through me. I'm letting the team know that. I'm letting everyone. I've been the MVP of the Eastern Conference. Now we're going through me. Halliburton, when we're on the run, we get it. But I'm not going to Halliburton and waiting for him to get me going. I'm going to get going, and Halliburton, you come along because he is the most prolific scorer for them on that team.
And I think that's the beauty of Indiana's offense, right? It's so random. And Kenny, you played with the great Dean Smith, right? I played under Coach Knight. Well, we played a little passing game.
Yeah.
And the randomness of play, you can't really set your defense for that. And that's what Indiana brings to the table right now. Their randomness, their play calling is not necessarily for one specific purpose or one specific person. It's for everybody.
You know what the crazy thing is?
Pascal can get his when he needs.
I don't know if you remember this conversation. You and I had maybe like 2 years ago. We were at the finals, and I said, I never ran a pick and roll until I got in the NBA.
Exactly.
And he was like, I never ran a pick and roll in Indiana. We never ran pick. It was all ball movement and body movement. So until we got to the NBA, we ran pick and rolls. But that is what Indiana's kind of doing now.
That's what they're
doing.
doing.
That made me remember that conversation.
And the pick and roll play is random, right? It's not a play call.
Right.
It comes out of movement.
Okay,
and then all of a sudden you in rotation. And before you know it, you break down the defense on the other side.
Right.
And once the defense is broken down, then baskets are easier to score.
Go ahead.
No, when I look at some of the bigs on the floor tonight, right, and I look at the fact that we're talking about 2 guys who aren't traditional, Miles Turner and Chet Holmgren, but they do leave an imprint on a game that's first and second in blocks this postseason, those two guys. What do you notice about the way that they are able to play big without being around the basket?
Shed is more of an all-around player than Miles. Miles had problems keeping my man off the boards in the last series. So when Steinhardt comes in, Miles Bridges is going to have his hand full. But I think him and Shed Holmgren would definitely cancel each other out. Neither of the guys play physical. They can step out and, shoot that three. But when Stein?
Hartenstein.
Yeah, when Hartenstein comes in, he's very active on trying to get offensive boards. They had problems in the last series trying to keep Mr. Mitchell off the boards.
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson led the postseason in offensive rebounds and really had a huge series for the New York Knicks. So, Zeke, we've talked about the bigs. We mentioned some other guys. But how about the guys that defend? Aaron Nesmith, Lou Dort, J-Dub. On the defensive end, the impact those guys can have.
Well, I just think you got two of the best teams playing right now who are rated high offensively and rated high defensively. And they got good ball stoppers, but you're not going to be able to just drive to the basket against Indiana. And Indiana is not going to be able to just drive to the basket against OKC. So you're going to have a lot of ball movement. And what OKC did against Minnesota is they said, okay, we're just going to put SGA at the foul line and go 1-4 flat and let him isolate. That's the way you can get him going. I don't know how Chet, Jay Will, and everybody else is going to get going if SGA is not creating for them. And I don't know if he's going to be the type of creator that he needs to be in this series, like Halliburton is a creator.
Kenny, both teams go 10 deep. So who has the advantage in the others category?
I would say that there is no clear advantage, but I'm always interested, which is totally random, when we come to the finals or we do games live, to watch guys warm up before the game. Because it tells me two things: what they think they're good at and what they need to work on. And so we're talking about the others. The others usually get here early. So right now we're on the floor watching the others. And I'm watching guys only sprint to the corner to shoot a three. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Tony
I know what you're doing. I know what you're going to do.
Right.
So, and I remember when Shaq, you asked me, can Thomas Bryant do what he did? If you had watched him warm up, you go, oh, that's what he does. But it's all about the warm up tells me what the role players, so to speak, think that they're good at or they need to work on. And it's an amazing thing. I see 4 or 5 guys who've never taken anything but a three during this warm up. I'm like, oh, so if he comes in the game as an other, we're playing at 3-point line.
There's Thomas Bryant, as you mentioned him.
No
TB.
question. No question.
But I think this is to Indiana's advantage on the defensive side of the ball, because OKC offense is very similar to New York's offense. High screen and roll, isolation, move the ball to the side, shoot the three. OKC hasn't played against an Indiana offense that's moving, cutting, passing, that type of randomness. So I do think that it's going to take them a while before they settle into the series. And Indiana right now, I give them an advantage tonight because they're playing against someone who's similar than the team they just played against.
And I know from personal experience in 94 and 95, even though I was playing against the great Hakeem Olajuwon, I think it's fair to say they were the underdog. So if you do not put the underdog away and give the underdog confidence, it's going to be a long series.
No, we weren't no underdog.
Yeah, you were.
We were not the underdog.
Yes, you were.
Y'all were the underdog.
No,
we had Clyde Drexler
and we got Shaq and Penny Hardaway and Nick Anderson.
Young Shaq and the young people.
Y'all were the underdog. Chicago's best.
Y'all were the underdog. We were looking at y'all, these young dudes trying to come up. Y'all were the underdog. Man, what are you talking about?
But let me ask both of you this question, right? Because y'all was covering that New York, series. What's the difference between Brunson and SGA, other than SGA is taller, right? But in terms of scoring the basketball, getting to the mid-range, what's the difference?
I think for me, it's harder to defend Brunson if you're a guard, but SGA scores easier. So because Brunson is physical. So he bumps you. But Shea just 2 dribbles and pulls up over you, and you can't stop it.
But I think what you're forgetting is I think SGA will give up the ball when necessary. Brunson takes that extra 1 or 2 dribble to try to get his shot.
Point.
SGA will get it, and he will get J-Dub involved. He'll get Lou Dort involved. He'll even get Chet involved. So very similar players, but I think when necessary, SGA will release the ball.
And I'm going to ask you this question. In a game 1, is that a good thing? Because Siakam is coming out, and he's the only one with championship experience coming. So he's going to come and set the tone, right? SGA getting others involved, giving it up. Is that a good thing in the first half tonight?
Me personally, I'm setting the tone. I'm going to work.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how you guys felt, but if that first shot hit, it was going to be a hell of a night.
Ooh.
If that first shot, if that first jump hook went in, y'all in trouble. So, now, if I start to miss a little bit and the game's close and not getting out of reach, then I'll say, okay, you guys go to work, and then try to come back to it. I would never just keep shooting, try to shoot my game out of it. But I'm coming in, like I always talk about this. I don't know if you guys did it. I always said I got to have 7 points a quarter. In the playoffs, it was 10 points a quarter. I have to average 40.
We couldn't think like that.
I wasn't even thinking about that. In the Rucker. At the Rucker, I was like, let me get 30.
No, we couldn't think like that.
Well, look, we've heard from the guys. Coming up, we're going to hear from one of the stars of today's game, Tyrese Halliburton, sitting down with Stephanie Reddy. That's up next on Game Time, live at the finals, presented by YouTube TV.
And sponsored by Real Men Can Wear Pink.
And they'll take on the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay, now you're starting this series. How do you play at that high pace against a team that also likes to play at a high pace and not make mistakes?
Experience helps, right? Like we've been playing this way for a long time now. There's good games and bad games as far as taking care of the ball, but I think just being who we are is the most important thing. I think it's going to be fun because they want to play fast. We want to play fast. I think that'll call for an exciting battle